2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies, Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
We will be back to three sports-loving ladies tomorrow as Mia O'Brien on vacation. One more day today. She'll be back with us in studio mañana. But I hope everybody had a great Father's Day out there. Welcome into a Big Chief Tire Monday. Taylor, I have to tell you a funny story that happened yesterday as we were celebrating Father's Day. So we go to dinner, and then my dad wanted to go out to dinner and then have one cocktail post-dinner. And, of course, the golf is on. The U.S. Open is on. And we were following along through dinner. And so we found a place that had TV, giant TV, perfect. It's already on the U.S. Open. We're locked in, watching certainly JJ Spaun go on to win. We were back at the house by then, but watching it live. And so the bartender, a very sweet person, she goes, "So I have a question to ask you." And I was like, "Okay, go for it." And she goes, "Who's a better golfer?" And this is a serious question. She just didn't understand, I think, what she was asking.
Okay.
She goes, "Who's a better golfer, John Daly or Tiger Woods?"
Okay.
And I was like, "Oh, that's not a question I was expecting." And I'm so not making fun of her. She was asking a legit question because of something she had seen online. And she's not a golf fan. Perfectly fine. I just honestly was like, wow. How do I answer this politically correctly? John Daly is a drunk. And I mean, he at one point in time was a decent golfer, but Tiger Woods is arguably the best golfer of all time.
Yeah.
And so that's how I answered it. How would you have answered that?
The question would be different if it's who would you rather maybe go golf with.
Absolutely.
People's answer may be a little different with that.
But yeah, it was just funny. I had to share.
I love it. Yeah. And it's funny because we live such in this world that sometimes question, like some of my friends my best friend could care less, like does not care about sports whatsoever. She'll go to sporting events with me just because she likes the vibes and the environment and can drink and like hang out. But there's sometimes where she'll say stuff and I'm like, I thought it was obvious, but I guess not. Like, it's just when you live in that world, it's different. But John Daly, I mean, maybe a fun round of golf would be a part of it for some people.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into the Jacksonville Jaguars, the players whose stock is up following the off-season workouts. And for me, Taylor, I'll start with, I think, an obvious one. And Jaguars Today was certainly just talking about the running backs and who's going to end up being the featured back. I think it's a really good question because at this point in time, I still have no idea.
Yeah.
But I think Travis Etienne, you have to say his stock is up for the here and now because a lot of people did have rumors out there that he was going to be traded this offseason. And not only is he not traded, but Liam Coen staunchly defended him.
Yeah.
I still don't know who's going to be the guy that gets the most carries throughout this season. I could literally argue for Travis Etienne, for Tank Bigsby, and for Bashal Tutin.
Yeah.
I could make an argument for all three of them. Maybe not like Kent Allen to this point, but we'll see. But certainly those three. And so to me, Travis Etienne is going to play football for the Jacksonville Jaguars this season, and I do think he'll have a significant role, even if he doesn't end up with the most carries. And I don't know that I necessarily thought that maybe 3 months ago.
Yeah, I feel like I have always been in my head, he's too good of a running back in my eyes to just part ways with him. I think we've seen some up and down moments, but I also think that when the run game was working on Jaguars offenses, you saw what Travis Etienne could be. And I think I mentioned this last week of how I think he's that perfect component when you need a back to be able to pass catch too. And he has that connection with Trevor Lawrence. Like you've got rid of everybody else who Trevor Lawrence had connections with, and keeping that I do think is important. And beyond, that's off the field and on the field, obviously the relationship in both aspects. And it's nice to still have those people. That's not what it's all about. We know that there's football teams you have to part with. He was close with Christian Kirk, and they had to part ways with that. But I do think that, to me, I was never fully on the get rid of Travis Etienne or Travis Etienne shouldn't be here train. And I think that when Liam Coen came, the way that he used his backs, and I think it more so made me feel like he should be here. So when the reports started coming out that they weren't the biggest fans of Travis Etienne, I was getting a little confused. So I like that Liam Coen came out and was vocal about, like, no, we're not trying to trade him. But I also think you just said you don't know who's going to be this lead back, what exactly that room looks like. I don't know if they know yet. And I think we haven't seen pads on yet. We haven't seen some of these things. I think that is one of the rooms that is a true competition.
And having a stable of backs, whether it's college football or the NFL, that's a great thing.
Yes.
If you have multiple guys that you can rely on. And yeah, certainly to catch the ball out of the backfield for a running back for this year right now, it seems like that would be Travis Etienne or LaKen Allen, because that's what Allen did at Syracuse. But yeah, I think it is going to be fascinating for me during training camp to see who's with the ones. Not that we can necessarily talk about it on air, but just to see, do they rotate that, or is it one guy getting more of those, reps with the ones? All right, another one for you. I'm going to go wide receiver De'Ami Brown.
Okay.
I think I knew that the Jaguars, of course, liked him based off of the deal they gave him, but it was only a one-year deal, albeit for $10 million. Seeing him in this Jaguars offense to this point, he has looked really good. Like, to me, wide receiver 1 is Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver 2 is De'Ami Brown, and then maybe Travis Hunter and Parker Washington and Brenton Strange, all that, the tight end. But I would think that De'Ami Brown is going to have somewhere in the ballpark of 1,000 yards this season. Again, just based off of what I've seen so far. He and Trevor Lawrence do have a really good connection.
Yeah, I would love that, obviously. I'm not on the train with the De'Ami like everybody else is yet. That could change very quickly. And I think that for me, it's just such a limited kind of a limited experience you have of him. He had 1 touchdown all in the regular season last year, and this was on offense that was a very high-functioning offense, and there was a lot of touchdowns scored. They didn't punt. They had the lowest punt to start games in the entire NFL, and it pretty much was Terry McLaurin and then a bunch of pieces. And so to me, if that's the type of player, if you're getting 1,000-yard receiver, then you would have already kind of seen that in lengths last year, not just in spurts of the postseason. But I hope you get the postseason version of Brown, because if you do, then you're getting a really, really good player. And like you said, it's wide receiver 2, 3. And so that's the benefit thing. At that point, you go from having a wide receiver room that a lot of people questioned a lot this last year to one of the better ones if he ends up being a guy that can hit 1,000 yards. I'm not quite there yet. Maybe once training camp hits, and because like I said, I went to a practice and literally didn't see him. So I think that I need to see a little bit more from that and more consistency. I think it's the same conversation of when I talk about Trevor Lawrence. Like, there's flashes of really good, but if you can't do it consistently, then you're not one of the top tier guys.
Yeah, I can understand that. All right, give me a couple of yours.
Yeah, I think the big one for me is probably because a lot of my focus this whole offseason has been on the secondary. And obviously the secondary was bad last year. So I was very vocal about how much I hate the safety room, how I have still concerns in the cornerback room, just because with Jarian Jones moving to the outside, what does that look like? Or is it Monteric? Or, if Tyson Campbell, we've seen injury issues with him. You have this guy, Jordan Lewis, who, yes, was really, really good last year, but the years previous to that, he was all right. And so I do think that there's still questions in that secondary. But from what I've seen, the little bits, and from what I've heard, and talking to guys like Coach Campo, I'm very excited. I think the stock up for me is Caleb Ransaw. I think it's the perfect opportunity for him to come in, because I don't think there's anybody in that safety room that he can't beat out. And it's a position change. You're changing positions when you go to the NFL, but everybody has kind of projected him being that safety pre-draft talk. And so I do think it's the perfect opportunity for him to come in and be able to start right away in a room that was one of the worst in the league last year. And so I do think that, and yes, they got Eric Murray. Again, I'm not a big fan of him either, but we can see. So to me, I just think that is a guy who, as a rookie, can come in and make a difference pretty quickly and upgrade a room that needed a lot of help in a lot of different areas.
It's funny you say that, because I have Dewey Wingard as far as stock up in the secondary, especially the safeties, because I got to see him out there more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
And so that, to me, more than just a special teams player, which at times Wingard has been relegated to that, but I literally have pretty much all of the corners on my stock up as well. Jordan Lewis for sure.
Yeah.
Tyson Campbell has had a great offseason, and Buster Brown has made a lot of good plays again through the offseason workouts that we've seen. And they really had a long way to go from certainly last year to this year. To your point, nobody likes the secondary last year. It was a disaster. And that's why the Jaguars were one of the worst teams against the pass in all of the league. They were also not great against the run, but really bad against the pass. And so certainly Coach Campanile has a lot of work to do with those guys. But I've been very impressed with what I've seen and what I've heard from when we got to hear from Jordan Lewis, when we got to hear from Buster Brown when he chatted with one of the 10-10 people last week. I forget who now, maybe Rick, I want to say.
I think that's
so, because they all do a great job, obviously. Mia, Rick Ballou, Hacker when he's out there, Joe C., everybody who talks to the Jaguars players. But yeah, that I struggled almost picking one of those corners because I have been impressed with all of them.
Yeah, and I think another conversation we've had is how much was coaching last year, because you did, obviously, I think Ronald Darby and Cisco are gone. Outside of that, it's going to be pretty similar to what it was last year. You add Eric Murray, and then you have a young guy like Caleb Bransaw. But outside of that, it's the same guys pretty much. So there is some sort
Travis
of...
Hunter.
And Hunter, yeah. And we'll see. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like either. I think the secondary is kind of a little bit of a mystery as to how exactly it's going to look. But there are a lot of returning pieces. So there's some confidence. They were seeing something on film that they liked enough and thought that maybe it was more of the coaching side and like some of the schematical stuff that Ryan Nielsen was or was not doing. And so I do think that it's not hard to improve from what it was last year. That's part of this. The bar's very low of being better than last year. And I know Mia kind of goes on about how the secondaries are maybe not as important if you're getting the pass rush up front and especially on the interior and stuff like that. But to me, when you talk about Philly, what did you talk about also? In addition to the pass rush, they also had a really good secondary. The Ravens struggled early on, but when they looked their best late in the season defensively, it was because their secondary all started to click at the right time.
The Chiefs have always had a good secondary,
yes. Yeah. And so to me, it is still important. You've got to have those guys, and yes, it helps when you have that pass rush. The guys in the back aren't having to cover as longer, and so that makes their job a little bit easier. But I also think the best teams in the league a lot of times are the ones that are getting a lot of interceptions, or at least getting the ball down on the ground a lot, and you are the ones that are good at avoiding that separation, letting the wide receivers get separated. And I think we saw way too much of that last year, including in addition to missed tackles. So I think those things automatically improve your secondary, and that's related to coaching to me. So if you did improve on a player or two, all of a sudden the secondary looks more like a 20 range rather than a 30 range right now.
Well, and if the opposing offense has a quick game, then it's a lot harder to get the pass rush home. Like if they are getting the ball out, like a Tua Tagovailoa gets the ball out faster than anyone else there for the Dolphins, it's going to be hard to get to him. Yeah. And yes, we've seen him have injuries when it comes to getting sacked, but he doesn't get sacked as much as some other quarterbacks. And so that is when you have to rely on your secondary. And we see such talented receivers in this league. I do wonder, as I was going through those corners and Dewey as well in the stock up category, I was like, well, but are they making plays because A, the defense is ahead of the offense at this point in the offseason, but also this offense is so new to everyone as far as, and I know the defense is new too, but those guys get to react. The offense is still going through a lot of changes as far as Trevor Lawrence learning the playbook and learning those calls and things like that, and some new weapons. So is the secondary looking good in practices because the offense is still trying to figure it all out? And maybe when we get to training camp or certainly joint practices against the Dolphins, maybe then we see the secondary not look quite as good. I certainly hope they look great.
Yeah, me too. And like for I feel like the defense, honestly, though, there's only like maybe 3 major pieces that are new. On the offense, you're talking about 3, maybe 4 offensive linemen. You're talking about a running back room that is kind of all over the place. Yes, you have Tank and ETN back, but the other backs you're talking about are all new. You're talking about a new receiver in Travis Hunter and a new receiver in Diami Brown. And then you're talking about Brenton Strange, who wasn't the focal piece this time last year. And especially with Trevor Lawrence, that wasn't that number one. It was Evan Ingram, obviously. And so I do think there is a lot more newness on offense, so that is going to take more time. But I do think that Coach Camp's done a really good job at being able to evaluate certain situations and getting kind of everybody out there, but also making sure that these guys are playing where they should have been playing the whole time.
Absolutely. I've got a couple more for stock up we'll get to on the other side, and also then we will get to our stock down players. To me, there's at least one obvious one, maybe a few more than that. Big Chief Tire's newest location is open today in Mandarin. It is just off San Jose Boulevard, just north of the Williams Family YMCA. You can trust Big Chief Tire. I trust Big Chief Tire. Certainly Frank trusts Big Chief Tire as well. You can find them online at WeKeepJacksRollin.com. But again, you can make appointments starting today at the newest location for Big Chief Tire in Mandarin. That is 6 locations around Jacksonville. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 10 to Next on 92.5 FM.
Second and goal from the 5-yard line.
Hear the voice of the Jaguars, Frank Franchi.
2 receivers right, 1 to the left. Crowd getting involved.
Afternoons on the Franchi Show
Victory formation for Jacksonville.
on 1010XL.
It's Mike Dempsey, and now's the time to get your roof hurricane ready with Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacks Beach. Look, our rainy season is no joke, and if your roof's got damage, leaks, or it's just plain worn out, don't wait. Apex is local, dependable, and will show up on time using only premium materials with ironclad warranties. No shortcuts, no stress. Just quality work you can trust. Skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak with Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacks Beach or visit apexroofingfl.com.
Lauren Brooks here. At Hodges Mazda, they are proud of their great reputation in the Jacksonville community. As your hometown Mazda dealer, their high customer service standards and their huge inventory of new and used cars provide their customers a consistently first-rate car buying experience. Their professional non-commissioned sales team put your best interest first without exception. And all new vehicle purchases include the Hodges Mazda Protection Package. Visit them online at hodgesmazda.com or stop in today to learn more and discover the Hodges Mazda difference.
Hey, Hicken here. Tired of glasses or contacts? Discover customized vision solutions at Bowden Eye & Associates. Dr. Bowden's team offers cutting-edge options like Evo implantable Collamer lenses or refractive lens exchange and classic LASIK, designed to fit your life. Picture perfect vision for reading, driving, or just enjoying the day. It's easier than you think. Call now for your free screening. Bowden Eye & Associates, they're keeping the First Coast focused.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
Ready to add some value to your day? The everyday deals at Sonny's have got you covered. Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, all you can eat ribs for $19.99, and our new loaded barbecue potato for $11. Available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Your home is more than walls and a roof. It's where you breathe, drink, and power through life. At Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to keep it all running smoothly. From clean, cool air to clean water, reliable power to expert plumbing, we do it all. For over 35 years, families have trusted Donovan to make their homes healthier, safer, and more comfortable. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing today. 904-270-COOL, where health meets home.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. With the weather now hot as can be, look ahead and get that backyard ready for fall with a new open air or screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are the best in the business. So if you have the space and the idea, give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you.
Give us your hot take.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
On the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
Be part of the conversation. 641-1010.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Spend an evening with heart. One night, 2 sets. A journey through the hits and timeless classics. June 24th, St. Augustine Amphitheater. Tickets on sale now at AXS.com. Don't miss an evening with Heart live.
A chipped windshield can turn into a big problem fast. Lauren Brooks here. Trust Novus Glass of Jacksonville for expert repair and replacement. Call 904-289-2905 for Novus Glass in Orange Park. 904-289-2905.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years. and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
Reclaim a pain-free life with Rebound Rehab. If you've been injured or simply feeling the effects of an active life, you can rely on Rebound Rehabilitation to get you back in the game. Sitting on the sidelines isn't any fun. Trust Rebound Rehab's team of trained physical therapists to get you back up to speed and feeling full again. Now more convenient than ever. 11 locations to serve you, including new offices in Riverside across from St. Vincent's, Point Meadows, and Middleburg. Just log on to reboundrehab.com to see all they've got to offer.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
I'm a redneck, 'cause I drink beer and I dip skull. Guess I'm a rambler.
By the way, have you listened to the full Morgan Wallen album?
I have.
Yet? All
Yes,
right,
finally.
she made it through
I made
it. There's a ton of songs.
There is. It's a lot, yeah.
Speaking of country music, the Jacks Beach Country Fest on Saturday was absolutely fantastic. Loved every
It
second
looked like
of it.
it looked like a blast. I saw a lot of people with pictures out there. I saw Molly. Did you see Molly?
I did.
I saw pictures of her out there. I was like, oh.
Yeah, so they do a great job, and I'm already looking forward to next year. The headliner for me was John Morgan. He was fantastic, but I also liked the guy ahead of him, which was Bryce Leatherwood.
Okay.
And he covered some stuff, which is always fun too.
Yeah.
I love when people play original stuff, but if you want to cover some mega hits from the 90s in country, I'm always for that as well. And he covered a Jimmy Buffett song, Pirate Looks at 40. All right, let's get to the rest of the list when it comes to the Jaguars players whose stock is up. I've given you De'Ami Brown, Travis Etienne, Dewey Wingard, several of the corners, Jordan Lewis, Tyson Campbell, Buster Brown. I'll give you three more names, Taylor. Linebacker Devin Lloyd, not only because the fact that he shed weight and he looks much faster, but also because Liam Coen, the head coach, last week specifically said Devin Lloyd is in the coach's offices every single day asking lots of questions. He didn't mention any other player when he was talking about that, so that's a good sign. And look, I think Devin Lloyd is a talented football player. He's a talented linebacker. He just had his head on a swivel, I think, when it comes to specifically last year. I thought his rookie year, he played really well to start, and then he kind of hit a rookie wall, which can certainly happen.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this staff can channel the Devin Lloyd that a lot of people did expect to be a first-round pick in the NFL, and that certainly because of the fact that he's lost some weight and he looks, like a guy that should play linebacker in the NFL, not like a defensive end, that he's going to play a lot better. That's the hope, certainly at least.
Yeah, and I think that we've had the conversation of maybe not ask him to do so much. That seemed like part of the issue last year. And maybe the rookie season coming in, he wasn't being asked to do as much in that first half. And then I think I talked about this on air last week when I was talking to Coach Campo, and he said you see a lot of rookies hit that wall at one point because they're going for pretty much a year straight. Like the way that you go from the college football now to the NFL, these rookies have it really tough. And then now the season's longer. So it's a lot of things. And so he pointed out specifically many players will hit that week 11, 12, and then they kind of just hit this wall. And then last year, it was just a lot of things going wrong, and I think he was being asked to do too much. So hopefully they kind of simplify that a little bit for him, not saying eventually you can't build back into that role where he's asked to do a lot of different things, but maybe kind of make it into a little bit more one-dimensional for him a little bit and then develop some of those other things as time goes. Now that you do also hopefully feel like you have some other linebackers that you can kind of mix in there and get in a rotation that you're confident in. But yeah, I like the Devin Lloyd one a lot because I think that where the area of concern is, and that's in the coverage side of things. So if you can get Coach Camp to develop that and improve that, and now he's at a weight where you feel like he'll be able to cover a little bit better anyways, that is a player that I think can make an impact if you do see that step up.
I have two more on defense. Mason Smith, the defensive lineman, defensive tackle. I think he's mentally right where he wants to be. And I think last year was a bit of a struggle for him. Yeah. Like you mentioned, rookies, it's a whirlwind when they come into the NFL. I think he's going to, in my estimation, I think he's going to be a starter. Yeah. Exactly how it all shakes out as far as snaps between Eric Armstead, Devon Hamilton, Mason Smith, I don't know yet. But I feel like he's a guy that this regime is leaning heavily into, and they are going to expect him to get certainly somewhere between 3 and 5 sacks. He had 3 last year. Why can't he get more than that, even from the interior? And the other one, speaking of sacks, defensive edge, I'll say, not defensive end, but Emmanuel Ogbah. obviously any of the players like Odiami Brown, a player that they go out and sign, a Jordan Lewis, like clearly those guys are going to be guys that they really like.
Yeah.
That's why they brought them here, and rookies too. But Agba just has this, I feel like this calmness about him. Like he's feisty on the field, but as far as like his presence in the locker room, I think because he does know Coach Camp really well, I think he's going to be a guy that we will see on the field certainly when Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker need a break. But even more than that, I think they're going to get creative, and we might see a little bit more of Agba than when he was initially signed right after the draft. I thought, okay, yeah, a little bit of pass rush help, and some edge depth, fine. But no, I liked what I've seen out of him as far as the offseason workouts, and I think he's going to again be a guy that they're expecting probably around at least 5 sacks.
Yeah, Agba was on my list also. And I think multiple things. Number one, the year when he's been a rotational piece and not having to be edge number one, you've seen a little bit more production in him. And sometimes that happens with certain pass rushers. They're not those every down pass rushers. They can't play. They're not going to play 80 when you're. I think it helps, and I do think he's one of those guys that are like that. And I also think that it takes a little bit of pressure off when you're behind a guy like Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker, who they're already going to be creating that pass rush. And then once they start getting in a quarterback's head, that's when things just kind of even make it a little easier for the guys around them too. And we're also hoping that interior pass rush has come also. And if that is fixed, and that is that which we are going to expect from a Mason Smith being able to kind of do what he did late in the season last year, you get that interior, and it opens up way more opportunity for those outside guys. So, yeah, I've said a few times this year, I would expect 4 or 5 sacks from Agba easily, and that's obviously if they just kind of keep it in a minimal role. If you have certain games where you have him out more, then I would expect even more than that.
And the reason I don't have a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. on this list is because I already have really high expectations for him. So as far as players I'm excited to see.
Stock's been up for him.
Yeah. To me, the stock was up when they drafted him, and it only skyrocketed from there. And a guy like Trevor Lawrence, I think, is an interesting one because I do think I saw moments from him in the offseason workouts where he looked really good, and I saw other moments where he had passes that he probably would want back. Although, of course, Liam Coen says, I'm not as focused on that right now and things like that. So, and I trust the head coach. But I think Trevor certainly had a lot to learn. And so I'm not going to put him in my stock up or stock down for the here and now. But I hope that by the time we get to training camp, I'm seeing him learn a lot from some of the mistakes that he made through OTAs and the mini camp. And we're seeing a Trevor Lawrence that is accurate, and the timing is pretty much right on point.
Yeah. And I think that you've seen he can do it. That's the thing. Like you've been able to see this Trevor Lawrence, and I know there's people out there who have given up, and then there's people that will maybe never give up. And
for the people who have given up, I just have to say, turn on the 2022 film. Like, please go watch, and even parts of 2023, the first half. There was a time that, Taylor, you know this, the Jaguars were potentially going to be the #1 overall seed in the AFC, like ahead of the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. Unfortunately, they lost to the Bengals that night. That's the night Christian Kirk got hurt, and certainly the rest of the season was a failure. But there have been a lot of moments. It's not just here and there that, Trevor threw a good deep ball. Like, there's way more than that. Does he have a lot to learn and improve on? Sure. But again, that's why I don't have him in, I guess I'll spoil it, I don't have him in my stock down either.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's why I think that you've got to bottle. You need to bottle whatever was happening at the end of 2022 and 2023. And I hope that's what Liam Coen and company and Udinski are doing, is they're saying this is when he was playing his best football. How do we get that back? And it's because there's been regression in certain areas. There's been moments of concern in certain areas, especially early last year when it was just kind of like he looked scared out there at moments. And that's the last thing you want your quarterback to get to. And so I do think that with these two guys, and we've seen what Udinski's been around in Minnesota and what he's been able to develop out of quarterbacks that were pretty much thrown out the door. And so if he can do that with Sam Darnold's and Joshua Dobbs and some Kirk Cousins, which, Kirk's had his moments, but his best football was with that group of guys. And then you talk about Liam Coen, who did this with Baker, and you can go back and we've talked about a lot too. Baker had a great season the year before, but everything, all the little issues that Baker had that year before that didn't take him over that next level, Liam Coen was able to bring out of him. And I do think that Baker also had some issues when it came to turning the ball over. That wasn't completely gone. So that's another thing I think people have to realize a little bit. Don't expect it to be this perfect season from Trevor where he only has 3 interceptions and no fumbles because that was still part of. They didn't take all that away from Baker because they still wanted Baker to be able to take some of those risks, and I still think they're going to ask Trevor to do that because when your best part of your game is throwing the ball deep, sometimes that turns into some not ideal situations, but you got to take those chances too. And so, but the situational side, that's what we're hoping changes as those decision making get better and better and slowly gets developed from Trevor. But then also Liam Coen kind of learns how to balance of when to kind of just let him sling it down the field and when they need to kind of reel it in a little bit.
We on our show talk a lot about the drops that had happened, but I feel like people focus so much more on turnovers than they ever even really mention drops. Like, when a quarterback's not getting help, that affects a lot of things.
Yeah.
He then doesn't want to go back maybe to that receiver or doesn't want to go across the middle if that led to maybe not a turnover, but certainly a big play like a third down not being converted.
Yeah.
All of that gets factored in. And so, it's going to be fascinating. Liam Coen, by the way, was on the Pat McAfee show last week. So I'll let you hear what he said to Pat about his quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. On the other side, you are listening to Helmets and Heels. We still have to get to the Jaguars players whose stock is down. We will do that as well. It is a big Chief Tire Monday. And like I said, the newest location in Mandarin opened today, and the Frangie Show will be at that newest location on Friday, June 27th from 4 to 6 p.m. And get this, Big Chief Tire will be raffling off 4 sets of tires and giving away some gift certificates as well. So make sure you put that on your calendar. Friday, June 27th at the newest location in Mandarin for Big Chief Tire. It's 10 to next on 92.5 FM.
There was a time when sports radio in Jacksonville was small. Then came 1010XL.
Look! It's gigantic! It's colossal.
1010XL. Extra large radio.
Mia here for Closets by Design. It's been a few months since they built my custom closet. You know how much I love it. My family is obsessed, and so is the gang here at 1010XL. With summer here, why not finally create that custom garage workspace that you want? Tool storage, workbenches, the whole works. Closets by Design creates custom solutions for every space, lifestyle, and budget. Yes, that includes all you guys, too. Call to schedule your free in-home consultation and receive 40% off plus an additional 15% off. ClosetsByDesign.com.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
Life is just so busy this time of year. Between work, the kids' games, family vacations, I need a yard hero to free up my weekends.
You mean somebody who does mowing and trimming?
Yeah.
How about mosquito control?
Yeah.
What about irrigation and pet waste removal?
You do that too? You're my lawn hero.
Find your lawn hero at heroeslawncare.com. Heroes Lawn Care, because every lawn needs a hero.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
Attention business owners and property managers. Hurricane season is right around the corner. Is your property ready? Call the pros at Duck Duck Rooter for expert storm drain cleaning and hydrojetting. Our powerful VACCON truck clears the way so your drains flow freely when the rain hits. Call 904-862-6769 today to schedule your service and protect your property before the storms start rolling in. Duck Duck Rooter, your trusted name in storm drain maintenance. Visit us at duckduckrooter.com. We are a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
Are you ready to play this summer? At the First Coast YMCA, we're committed to being your home for health and wellness and a place for friendly competition with team sports for adults and for kids. Basketball, volleyball, pickleball, flag football, soccer. The Y has something for everyone at any age. Discover all the benefits of YMCA membership and find your fun this summer at the Y. Registration for team sports and summer camps is open now. Visit fcymca.org.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On June 16, 1975, the Milwaukee Bucks trade star, center, and future NBA Hall of Famer Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to the Los Angeles Lakers.
Hacker here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Look, the summer has arrived. Memorial Day is in the rearview mirror. It's vacation season for me, and over the next couple of weeks, whether it's a cruise, going out to Las Vegas, I'm going to bust out the tank tops, man. I'm going to show off the bod a little bit. Now, would I have done that 100 pounds ago? Of course not, but thanks to the great folks at Awaken 180 Weight Loss, I really have a new lease on life. It's life changing. I'm in the maintenance program now, doing really well, right? The weight is not coming back on. That's almost as rewarding, if not a little more rewarding. It's one thing to lose the weight. It's something else to keep it off. I've been able to do that with the great folks of Awaken 180 Weight Loss. If it's time in your life to make that change like it was for me, go to awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800. If I can do it, you can do it. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
It's the event everyone waits for. Now at Beard's Diamonds. Buy one, get one free on all wedding bands. Now for a limited time, when you buy his wedding band, get hers free. Buy hers, get his free. Save up to $10,000. Are you about to get married or been married for years thinking it's time for an upgrade? There's nothing that symbolizes your love more than the wedding band. Beard's has hundreds and hundreds of bands from top designers in white gold, yellow gold, rose gold, titanium, platinum, plain bands, channel set bands, pave set, eternity bands. And for men, masculine bands, wide, modern, with and without diamonds, hammered, brushed, engraved, lots of colors. Come to Beard's now and find the wedding band that reflects your style and your personality. Buy one, get the second one free. The big box corporate jewelry stores can't or won't do this, but Beard's can. And it's happening now through June 23rd. Buy one wedding band, get the second one free. Don't miss this opportunity to celebrate your eternal love with the eternal symbol. Beard's Diamonds at St. John's Town Center.
Hey, Hicken here for my friends at Zero Res. They want to help you clean your home or business. Big summer savings with 3 rooms clean starting at $129 and 20% off your air duct cleaning. Call them 904-287-5727 and ask for the 1010XL special.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
We just trying to catch a good time, even if it takes all night. Pass that bottle around the campfire, sipping apple pie moonshine.
Taylor Dahl is here. RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks. Mia O'Brien on vacation. She will return tomorrow. All right, we were just talking about Trevor Lawrence, certainly this Jaguars team in general. By the way, I just learned that Travis Etienne fished in the old school Kingfish shootout this past weekend. Not sure if he placed. I do know that the winning fish, Taylor, was a little over 40 pounds.
Oh, my goodness.
So congrats to the winning team. The boat was called Leilu. I don't know them, but congrats to the captain, Jeremiah Bush. And out of 695 boats, he won with a fish that was 40.26 pounds. I believe the only one over 40 pounds. And I was told also they had over 400 lady anglers.
Oh.
Yeah. So record with how many boats? 695 and
That's
record.
so many boats.
So many boats. You got that
Goodness.
right. I wonder if Travis Hunter will fish in that, although he's more of a bass fisherman than saltwater and things like that. But you never know. All right.
I saw him at Walmart. I didn't see him at Walmart.
Yes.
I saw a video of him at Walmart, and I was like, I love Travis Hunter so much.
He's one of us,
Yeah,
right?
I love it.
Absolutely. All right, before we get to our Jaguars players where the stock is down, let's hear Liam Coen talking about his quarterback when he joined Pat McAfee on his show last week.
I think it's natural, right? You feel the pressure to, you always as a coach want to try to get the most out of your players. And when you don't, you feel like you fail. right? Like that is our job. Our job is to put these guys in the best position to be successful, and you're constantly evaluating that process to get you there and to get these guys playing at the highest potential. So is it pressure? No, I think it's exciting. I think it's a great opportunity for him to show who he really wants to be, right? Like he has it. He has shown it. I mean, he led one of the best, comebacks in playoff history. I mean, the guy's got grit. He's played through a ton of injuries throughout his career. He's mentally and physically tough. He has these skill sets. So it's ultimately just about, man, just go let it rip. Go play free of failure. Go play with a supporting cast that we can continue to improve, and just go cut it loose.
I love so many things from that quote, Taylor, but the main one to me is Liam Coen saying, is it pressure? No, it's exciting. First of all, if you're Trevor Lawrence, you already have the contract, your second contract. You are set not just for life, but for generations with that $275 million second contract. So that part, you don't have to worry about it. So go out there, let her rip, and show the world who you are. And so to me, I think that without specifically saying it, Trevor Lawrence, and he's told us this in the past, he knows what people say about him. Yeah. He knows that some people don't think he's a very good quarterback, and he also understands that it's up to him to be able to prove that he is.
Yeah. One of the questions I get asked the most, and this is from people, Jags fans that just run into me out, or if I'm traveling somewhere and someone finds out that I'm a Jags fan, one of the most popular questions I get asked is, do you think that if Trevor hadn't got his contract last summer, that Liam Coen and James Gladstone would have extended him this offseason? And I don't know the answer to that, honestly. I don't know if they would have said, let's see what this looks like this year, or if they were like, hey, we know the struggles of not having quarterbacks. Let's go ahead and do this. So I really, truly don't know the answer to that. But what it sounds like is Liam Coen thinks and feels he has all the ability in the world to be able to be one of the top quarterbacks. There are just things that have to happen for that to play out.
I would imagine that they believe in Trevor to the point that they probably would have extended him because of the fact that they both took this job. Mm-hmm. James Gladstone could have stayed with the Rams. A lot of people thought he was going to be Les Snead's successor as the GM there in Los Angeles. And Liam Coen literally told Shad Khan and the Jaguars, no, I'm going to stay in Tampa as the OC, and I'll wait for the better job to come open. And then he decided, after maybe some other personnel moves were made, that he did want to come to Jacksonville. And so I don't think you take this job if you don't believe in Trevor. So I guess the contract extension part is tricky because of the injuries the last 2 seasons, multiple injuries, that is. So they could have put it on the shelf. But I think both of them, I'll say it like this. I think both of them and Tony Baselli, the trifecta that is running this operation, all three of them truly believe Trevor Lawrence is a top 10 quarterback in the league, maybe even higher than that. But they all have shown and said that they believe in him. And so, now it's up to him to take this offensive system and to make it look really good.
Yeah. And that's what Liam Coen just said, too. You want to surround him with pieces, too. And so clearly they feel like in the last few years he wasn't set up for the best possibility to succeed. And I think most people here would at least agree with that when it comes to the offensive line, it comes to even weapons. As much as you maybe loved Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram, you're not talking about they had that 1 year of being at top of their position, and outside of that, they've always been kind of those other good but not great guys. And you look at other teams that have A.J. Browns and Jamar Chases and all, you can go on this list of wide receivers, true number one wide receivers. And yes, you finally have that now in Brian Thomas Jr. and hopefully beyond that too. But if I were to tell you that you were in company of last year offensively, teams like Detroit, Baltimore, Buffalo, Washington, Philly, and Cincinnati, I feel like you would take it. And I just saw this stat. That's why I'm saying this, because Warren Sharp posted, which he does a lot of analytical stuff. The teams with 70-plus yard touchdown drives last year, the most in the league was Detroit with 46, Baltimore second with 44, and then Tampa Bay third with 38. That's insane. 70-plus yard touchdown, 38 of them? That's wild.
That means you are really good at running the football. Yeah. That's what that speaks to me, at least.
Which those three teams you would link to that.
Exactly, because you're taking so much time off the clock. You're not usually going to have a 60-yard bomb on a lot of your drives. All right, so Taylor, let's get it to the Jaguars players whose stock is down following the offseason workouts, because you actually disagree with some of my stock is up.
So not so much disagree. I actually agree, and that's what led to my stock downs, because of some of the names that you listed on your stock up. My biggest stock down, or one of my biggest stock downs, is Jordan Jefferson. I wasn't a very big fan of Jordan Jefferson in the beginning. I think it was a player that I I felt like I needed a lot of work. I felt like there wasn't enough consistency for me in college. But then now what the defense may look like, and you have this rotation of Eric Armstead and Mason Smith, who you're expecting to take this step up, and then Devon Hamilton, who everybody also is hoping. And we talked about all of the weight things. Devon Hamilton had the back issues, obviously, but then we also were talked, all these players that also gained weight, and you feel like getting them back to their natural weight's going to help. So I just don't know how much this helps Jordan Jefferson in the sense of moving Eric back inside, and because I do think that you're going to see a whole lot of Devon and Mason and Eric, and not a whole lot of Jordan Jefferson. And already last year, he only played half the games last year. And so I do think that in the little bit, I think he had 1 sack in the 8 games he played, and it was just very underwhelming for me when he was on the football field. And so to me, I just think that a lot of the pieces that they've added defensively, maybe the fit with Coach Camp isn't exactly there either. And so to me, and that kind of played off what you said when it came to Mason Smith being that stock up. And that's why I feel like maybe the opposite end for Jordan Jefferson.
Gotcha. Yeah. To me, the most obvious stock down is Anton Harrison. And he could certainly play his way to be the full-time right tackle starter, just like he has been the last couple of years. But based off of Liam Coen's comments last week, and based off of what we've seen physically out of Anton Harrison, he doesn't look to me like he's in as good of shape as the other offensive linemen or the other defensive linemen. And so to me, Anton Harrison has a lot of work to do over the next 6 weeks to get to where we know he can be, and that is playing at a high level. And that certainly starts with your conditioning. We know that he missed some practice with an illness, so I don't know if that's lingering, if maybe that's what we've seen is, and we've certainly discussed that, like you mentioned with Devon Hamilton in the past, something serious that can totally disrupt your normal rhythms. So I'm not going to sit here and completely say Anton Harrison is not going to play well at all this season. He's not even going to be a starter. I'm not saying that. But I do feel like he was put on alert a little bit by his head coach last week. And so Anton Harrison, to me right now, is clearly the one that I would have never guessed, other than Mia has been saying for a few months now, like Anton Harrison has a lot to prove. But as far as like watching him, his rookie season, I thought eventually he'd be the Jaguars starting left tackle. Last season certainly didn't play as well, but I don't know if you can isolate just his play because the entire offensive line, to your point earlier, wasn't good at all. So I do think Anton Harrison has a lot to prove.
Yeah, and there was comments too from Liam Coen about, he said Vaughn, but Javon Foster, and that
he's my next one.
That one's like kind of sprung to me. I was like, oh, that's a very, I guess we were all like, oh, Javon's done, like once some of the signings happened, but it's interesting that was one of the names that he mentioned. And I do think with Anton, you saw this just such incredible rookie season right out the gates. And so I do think that that kind of put expectations super high for you, because I think that you spent high draft capital on this guy, and then you had him perform the way he did that rookie season, injured, by the way. And then last year happened, and it was very, again, I used the word underwhelming twice already, but that's how it felt. It just felt like you never really quite saw the same Anton that you had seen previously. And then to your point, you're not the only one that I've heard say that there was a little, it seemed off at camp, I guess is the best way to say it. And so maybe we don't know if the sickness was lingering because it was the week before. And then the next week I went and it just seemed off in that aspect. But maybe he was still kind of not feeling 100%. It's hot out there. And so if you're sick in any ways, it's obviously not ideal. If you're dehydrated, it's not ideal. So we will see how that shakes out. But I think the offensive line in general, and we didn't see a whole lot of it in mini camp, but I would expect a little bit more rotation and seeing some of these other guys in camp just to kind of see what they have out there, because I do think that they know how important it is to get this line right away.
Yeah, for sure. I would put Javon Foster on the stock is down list only because I don't know if he makes the team. And anybody that's in that category, when previously I thought Javon Foster might be a starting tackle in this league by this point in time, because he did play really well in college at Missouri. But I haven't seen enough to be able to say he's even, like I said, even going to make the team. That offensive line, they usually keep around 10 on the 53. I think, not that it's going to be like the hardest cut, like these guys are all super talented, but I do think they've got a lot of bodies.
Choices to make,
Yeah, and they'll certainly have to
decide. And a lot of unknowns, I feel like, or borderline unknowns, where you kind of feel like you don't know enough about them yet, especially at prospective positions. It's hard. So that is part of it too. And I do think that the offensive line in general is going to be intriguing all this whole offseason, just because it's something that people know this is one of the things you have to fix. You have to get this right.
And that's where I could put Walker Little on the stock is up once we get to training camp, but I have to see it in the pads first. And so, again, 2 offensive line for me on the stock is down. And my final one for stock is down. I don't like to be negative. You know me.
Yeah.
But linebacker Yasir Abdullah, because of the different things that they've done this offseason with the additions of a Dewan Smoot, certainly Emmanuel Ogba, and then drafting Jalen McLeod.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what position Yasir plays at this point in time in this defensive scheme. I don't know if they consider him linebacker or edge. He's worked more with the linebackers, so I would assume more linebacker, but I don't know that he fits necessarily there either. And again, I don't know that he makes the 53-man roster. And so for me, Yasir Abdullah, he's certainly going to have to show Coach Camp something.
Yeah, I think Yasir has kind of been on the outskirts for me in the first place. I have another linebacker. I have Chad Muma. And I know I'm a lot of times alone on this. Other people really like Chad. I'm just not I don't know. I just haven't seen anything that has overly impressed me with Chad Muma in his time there. You're heading into year 4 now, and it's just kind of like you're there sometimes, you're not there sometimes. He had 1.5 sacks his first year, which I know that's not their main thing, but then since then it's just been kind of non-existent in certain areas. And I feel like the snap counts late last year, he was playing a ton early in the year, and then all of a sudden you were barely seeing him on the field. To me, that is kind of showing coaching staff, and granted, it's a different coaching staff, so we'll see what they think. Aren't seeing enough out of him, but that to the point of your stock up and a guy like Devin Lloyd, and then they draft a Jack Kaiser. To me, it's kind of, you've got a guy that you're expecting to make this big leap in Lloyd, and then you drafted a guy behind him in Jack Kaiser, who spent a lot of time in Notre Dame, and everybody we talk to talks about his leadership and how just kind of the ability, him being able to, the availability of what he was able to do through college and how that can benefit.
He's
not saying Chad's not going to make the team, because I'm not in that, but I just think that you could start seeing less of Chad and more like a guy from a lot of Lloyd and more of Jack.
Yeah, Jack Kaiser, intangibly rich in every way, and that's what we've heard from everyone we've talked to. You certainly watched him closely. So yeah, I can understand that for Chad Muma. I think they like him with special teams as far as that's concerned, but there's a guy like a Daniel Thomas too. You have to wonder, like, does he make this team because of special teams, or does he make this team also because they like him at safety on the field? That's all going to be interesting to sort out. All right, when we return, let's get into some sports non-football related. That's right, we will talk a little U.S. Open, a little NBA, a little NHL. You're all listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday. You can find them online at WeKeepJacksRollin.com, and their 6th store is open today, the newest location in Mandarin. It's 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Play-by-play just makes everyday life better.
I did not see this one coming.
Get the most play-by-play on 1010XL, Jacksonville's play-by-play sports radio.
Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars. Make them your AC partner. With honest cost estimates before they start the work with no hidden fees. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
The 2025 season schedule has dropped, and single-game tickets are on sale now. Be at the bank to watch Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence, and the Jaguars take on the biggest names in the NFL. Don't miss your favorite matchup and secure your tickets now by visiting jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. See you this fall, Jags fans.
Yes, sir. That's the best decision. I love it.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When cockroaches move into your home or business, you want them out fast. At Terminix, they don't just get rid of the cockroaches, they evict them and work to prevent them from coming back. Because no one likes an uninvited pest. When cockroaches show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a roach problem. I certainly don't. Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
What does your dream backyard look like? Hey, it's Joe C. and my friends at CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living can design an outdoor kitchen layout custom built to your taste and lifestyle. You dream it, they can build it. CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. Visit CSSOutdoor.com.
Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
Why does Northeast Florida buy from Arlington Toyota? Because Arlington is the place to go for big selection. I'm talking over 800 vehicles, one location, and everyday low prices. Over 350 SUVs, over 175 trucks, over 275 cars. And if that's not enough, there is more inventory on the way. Plus 60-day exchange. I know you've heard me talk about it, but really, let this sink in, folks. Buy from Arlington, take it home, drive it around for 60 days. And if you decide it's not right for you, you just come on back to Arlington, exchange it for another one. You even get Arlington's lifetime warranty with your new purchase. Why buy from Arlington? Because right now you can get financing as low as 0% on select new models. 0% and no payments until January 2026. That's like 7 months from now. Crazy. Now you know why Northeast Florida buys from Arlington Toyota. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter-mile east of 295, or at arlingtontoyota.com.
Brackish Vodka, the spirit of the sportsman and proud partner of the Jaguars, is thrilled to announce you can get all of their flavors and original vodka at PJ Liquors in St. Augustine. PJ Liquors, since 1999, has been serving up summertime fun. Now enjoy Brackish Vodka, the #1 local vodka in North Florida. Brackish Vodka is the first clean craft vodka, and you can find their 9 flavors at PJ Liquors. Brackish Vodka, for whatever your sport is. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Spend an evening with heart. One night, 2 sets. A journey through the hits and timeless classics. June 24th, St. Augustine Amphitheater. Tickets on sale now at AXS.com. Don't miss an evening with heart live.
Jacksonville, you know a good defense wins games, and a good fence protects your home. Frank Frangie here. Coil Fencing has been around the block since 1927. Literally, they probably fenced it too. From tough chain link to sleek aluminum fences your HOA will love, Coil is the name to trust. Nearly a century strong and still standing tall. Call Coil today. You can trust them. Call 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
With Lee and Kate's glass, you're gonna see a big difference. For 100 years, service you can trust. Lee and Kate's glass, depend on us. Glass solutions to meet your needs. Reliable quality guaranteed. Complete customer satisfaction. With Lee and Kate's glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
Maxed out on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You could pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Prosser here. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan Program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. That's Loan Pronto. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy, low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is an A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Call now and start the conversation. Go to loanpronto.com or call 999-1508. That's loanpronto.com.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm RJ Saunders for 1010XL. This update brought to you by Southern Oak Insurance. Florida State Baseball Junior shortstop Alex Lodice has been named the 2025 recipient of the Dick Hauser Trophy as the National Player of the Year. Lodice is the 3rd player in program history to win the trophy, along with outfielder J.D. Drew in 1997 and catcher Buster Posey in 2008. The defending national champion Florida men's basketball team will visit Duke in the ACC-SEC Challenge on Tuesday, December 2nd. Florida and Duke meet for the first time since the Phil Knight Invitational Championship game in Portland, Oregon back in November of 2017. Right now, 90 degrees at 12:58, time and temp, brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Cozy it up. Don't need to make it. 2 putts.
Lawrence thought about a three. Alexander hits a three. Clutch bomb from SGA. 1-point game with 2:50 remaining. Only their third three-pointer of the game. Alexander on the drive, pulls back. Baseline jumper's good. OKC with their first lead of the second half. And a timeout call from Indiana. 29 points.
Forced to read it over for Florida. One kept alive by Edmonton. Long shot. Awkward stop for Bobrovsky. Perry had his stick lifted. Los Dorina clears for the empty net. Score! And that silences the crowd here in Edmonton.
Well done, RJ. Those were the biggest storylines of the weekend as far as on the court or on the ice, as it were. Certainly some blockbuster trades going on. Get to that a little later, but you just heard JJ Spaun win the U.S. Open, his first major. Congratulations to him. That was such a cool moment as he made that 64-foot putt that was ridiculous. You heard the Thunder win Game 4 and the Panthers win Game 5. Right now, Taylor Dahl has a tangent.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
I promise you I'm not going to make all of these negative because...
we have enough negativity between stock down and our Terminex Pest of the day.
So this one is just because I'm aggravated. It's I know somebody close to the heart of a lot of Gator fans here, and I've joked about this a lot of times, but Billy Donovan and the Bulls. So I've said this before. He's the third longest tenured coach right now in the NBA. It's Eric Spoelstra, Steve Kerr, and Billy Donovan. They now are talking about an extension, and why is I just don't understand. I know he only has a year left on his contract, but here I'll just go through some of these numbers real quick. Eric Spoelstra, obviously head coach since 2008, made the postseason every year except 3 in 17 years, has 2 championships, 4 other finals appearances. His record with them is 787 and 633. Steve Kerr. We obviously know. We don't have a Steph Curry in Chicago, so that I'm sure is a big factor in a lot of this. But with the Warriors since 2014, made the playoffs in 8 of 11 years, 4 championships, 2 other finals appearances, never a first-round exit when they make the postseason. Billy Donovan, in his 5 years, he's had one season over 500, and it was 10 games over exit that year. So you finally have a winning season. You get to the postseason. You get knocked out in the first round. He's 195 and 205 during his time in this 5 years, and they're talking about an extension. It's just the most mediocre coaching job that could possibly happen. And a lot of people argue that it goes higher up because AK doesn't, they haven't had the best of players during this time. But the year that they did make that postseason, that team was really fun. That's when Alonzo kind of was getting going. DeMar Rosen was on there. You had, I'm trying to go through all it. Kobe White, who's a young guy. But then even this year, you started to establish some guys and some players. You draft Matas, who had a really good season. Giddey had one of his best career seasons this year. Kobe White had a career year. And you can not even get to 500 and win a play-in game. You can't even win a play-in game. And so it's just really frustrating to me. And I think that I know we talk about patience sometimes because you're like, all right, it's only been 5 seasons. Give a little bit more time. Give them some more to work with. But to me, talking about a contract extension right now when everybody else you're firing Tibbs, who just got to the Eastern Conference Finals, and that's not enough, but this is enough. So that's
who would you want? And you cannot have Todd Golden.
I have no idea. I don't know who's next, and maybe that's what's keeping them from this because the Knicks seem like they're having a hard time finding somebody because everybody who is in coaching positions, they're getting denied even the chance to interview. And then I heard Dan Hicken going on his rant this morning that, people saying that need to calm down because it took 2 months for the Lakers to hire their coach last year. And so just be a little bit more patient. But it's just, I don't know how good the options are, and maybe that's why they're doing this. Like, hey, you have a guy that's at least keeping you in that 500 range, and there's a lot of coaches who you find out really quickly that it can get worse. So we will see. It's just really frustrating to see that when you had this season the way it ended this last year especially, and some of that was direct coaching too, and that's part of it when you defend some of the players and stuff like that. But even when a lot of these players were playing their best basketball this year, there were some weird coaching decisions by Billy that lost games directly correlated to his coaching. So it's a little frustrating, and especially being the Bulls organization. It's just so weird that you had this stretch of, the 90s with Jordan and all of this winning. And then you got Derrick Rose and you had this other stretch with Pau Gasol and Noah and all of these guys who gave you a little bit of hope, and then everything just crashed and burned again and you haven't been able to find a life again.
Yeah, the reason I asked, I wondered if Bulls fans would want Thibodeau because
Bulls fans, yes.
Yeah, the success
immediately when he was fired, they were all like, bring him home.
Right, yeah. So it is interesting. Look, as far as the fact that Billy Donovan was a former Gator coach, like if Bulls fans aren't happy with him, that doesn't bother me in the least. If you're not performing at your current job, what you did in the past doesn't really mean anything. Yeah. But I do wonder who's better out there. But as far as JJ Redick going to the Lakers, like RJ, you can speak more to that. Like, are Lakers fans happy with JJ Redick?
Right now, yeah.
Okay.
I think he did a good job his first year for a guy who had no prior coaching experience. Now, I do believe, sure, having great players such as LeBron James, trading for a supernova and Luka Doncic, I really feel like it does help. And you had Anthony Davis prior to that, but I don't think anybody thought that this was going to be a guy that would have that much success in year one. So I would say for the here and now, we're probably the most fickle fans in the whole entire NBA. For the here and now, he's done a great job. Let's see what he can do year two.
We have a giveaway too.
Yeah, let's do it.
We have lunch to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 3.
I like it. Caller number 3. Going home with some Chick-fil-A. So speaking of the blockbuster trades, we had one in the NBA, one in Major League Baseball, as the Grizzlies trade Desmond Bane to the Magic for tons of draft picks. And then you have, of course, the Red Sox trading Rafael Devers to the Giants. We'll get to baseball in a little bit. But I feel like while these are intense trades, at the same time, because of Doncic that RJ just referenced, I feel like and the Mookie Betts for the Red Sox, I feel like these are just they're a big deal in the moment, but still nothing's going to compare to some of the worst trades we've ever seen, which have just taken place in the last year for one and then a few years for the other.
Yeah, I think that it helps that they ended up getting the best. They got the number 1 pick right after they traded their player in Luka Doncic, so I think that helps a little bit ease the pain of that trade. The Devers one it's weird. You traded your best batter. And one of the best, who you just swept the Yankees. You just got finally over 500 for the first time in a while, and you traded your best batter for some okay pitchers. It's very weird to
that
me.
Mia got to go to that game. Obviously a Yankees fan, but got to go to the game with the Yankees Red Sox in Fenway. The Yankees, unfortunately for her, were swept by the Red Sox this weekend, but she got to see Devers' last game with the Red Sox, even though, like I said, and Jared
he was the Yankees killer. That's what they're calling him too, because he was just every time they played the Yankees, he was the reason they were winning. But it was funny. I even saw this on TikTok, because there's a trend on TikTok where they'll do breaking news of something, and girls will make up some trade and tell their dads oh my God, so-and-so just got traded to da-da-da, and it's fake news. And so the dads will always freak out and be like, what? And they pull out their phone and whatever. So the girl's recording and she's like, oh my God, Boston just traded Rafael Devers. And the dad's like, okay, whatever. You can tell she's probably done this to him before on some fake ones. And he's like, okay, whatever. And he's rolling his eyes. She's like, I'm not kidding this time. And she's laughing, and he is not believing her. So all the friends are Googling, and the one guy's like, oh my God, it's real. And the dad's like, what?
Is he a Red Sox fan?
I'm guessing.
Okay,
they all seemed like Boston fans.
It was fun to tell my dad, who's a Giants fan. He's not a diehard by any means, but that was the first baseball team he got to see in person. And so literally yesterday on Father's Day being so the Giants just acquired Rafael Devers for the Red Sox. Yeah, what? I'm sorry, what? Come again?
It's weird when you're a baseball team, and the Cubs went through this that few years ago. They got rid of Rizzo, Javi, and Bryant in a week. And it was the saddest week of my whole life, because that was the happiness that got the World Series, and even the energy of the players in general. Now all of them, Rizzo's not on a team. Bryant's been pretty much hurt and not good. And Javi's he's played better this year for half the year, but obviously had his downs. But I remember those moments when you're constantly seeing that pop up on your phone, that these players that have helped your so much success to your team, it hurts. And you have all their jerseys, and you've spent a lot of time and money on things to support them, and then they're gone. But yeah, so it's interesting. The NBA one, RJ, because I wanted to ask you this, and I saw somebody on Twitter post, like a football guy was like, explain this to me in football terms, because if you're not an NBA fan, like it gets lost in that. Is there any football terms that you would be able to relate that NBA trade and make it make sense to me?
Okay, so this was basically a trade to get off of the books of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to be able to acquire such talent as a Desmond Bain. So I don't know who would be a guy, whatever team X that you want to use as an example, to say we're making this trade to get off the books of player X on our team to acquire a better talent. That would be the first thing. So for those who said, oh my goodness, we gave up 4 unprotected first-round picks, and one of them being the 16th overall pick in this year's draft, kind of a steep price, but shout out to Jeff Weltman, which I haven't been able to give him a lot of shout outs just due to the fact that last season was kind of a head scratcher where you said the darling of the dance was Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and you made no other moves in the offseason. I think he was just willing to admit, not saying it publicly, but just saying, I got it wrong with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. After a year, I'm now going to trade him. We're going to get a younger guy in Desmond Bain who can also create his own shot. Let's see what we can do there. However, on the other side of this, I don't feel that this is okay. I'm done. Let's move on to the regular season. No, I think that you still need a point guard if you're the Orlando Magic. Now, I don't know if you're going to be doing that via free agency or if you're going to do that in the NBA draft.
Walter Clayton Jr., RJ.
And that is what I'm hearing.
Jr.
So now you, Hayes Carline, Graham Marsh, and Ryan the Hacker Green all on the Walter Clayton Jr. bandwagon. I think you still need one. That's me. If Walter Clayton Jr. is the pick, then please allow that to be. I don't know if you can get Nickeil Alexander-Walker from Minnesota. I think with the postseason he had, he's not going to be asking for big dollars, but just what you have, I don't know if it'll be enough unless he just believes in the Magic and that the East is going to be so wide open come next season that, if I'm on the Orlando Magic, we can seriously make a run here. But if you can do those two things, I think Jeff Weltman can say, listen, I had a very solid offseason. So just to answer the question, this is really kind of in NFL terms, but I don't know how kind of the salary works in the NFL. I'm just trying to get off of the books of a decision I made last season. I got it wrong. And now I'm bringing in a younger player that will have the rights to him until 2030. And he'll still be able to grow and attach himself to our young studs in Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. So good trade, and let's see what Orlando's able to do, because in my opinion, the East is going to be wide open next year, especially after what we've seen Indiana do this year. So definitely exciting times down there in Central Florida.
What does this mean for Ja?
What does it mean for Jaren Jackson Jr.? I mean, what does it mean for a lot of those guys? I mean, is Memphis really looking to rebuild at this point? And who are going to be suitors for one Ja Morant? But at the same time, I mean, are you going to be at least listening to trade offers for one Jaren Jackson Jr. as well? Is this a thing where you're kind of blowing all of this up? It was a surprising move to me. But during NBA off seasons, and you hear this quite a bit, there's always one player during the off season that's made available that you did not think or didn't know was going to be made available. I think last season that was Mikal Bridges before he went to the New York Knicks. I don't think anybody thought that this was going to be a guy that was going to be available during the off season, and all of a sudden the New York Knicks are giving out 5 first-round picks to acquire him. So Desmond Bain was certainly the guy for me where I said I certainly didn't think so. I thought Memphis would think they're going to come back next year. We're going to run this all back. Josh should have a clean bill of health, and we're going to try to see if we can ride this rocket ship to the moon. But I think for a guy like Ja and for a guy like Jaren Jackson Jr., I'm not saying that they're going to be traded, but if you're trading a valuable piece like that in Desmond Bain, it kind of gets me to thinking that maybe the futures of Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. in terms of being Memphis Grizzlies may be closer than we think to the end.
Interesting. So tonight we have Game 5 between the Pacers and the Thunder. Who wins?
Pacers.
I say Thunder. RJ, who you got?
Talk to me tomorrow.
That's a.
We
very
also get
easy
to see
answer.
Shohei Ohtani pitch tonight.
We do get to see Shohei Ohtani pitch tonight for the first time since 2023. NHL Stanley Cup Final. Panthers up 3-2 on the Oilers. It feels over, Taylor. It feels like tomorrow night the Panthers win.
I don't know. I think the Oilers
second.
win. I think it goes to 7. I've been saying it the whole time. I think it goes
That's
to 7.
true. Yeah, it feels to me like from the outside looking in, like the Panthers have all the momentum in the world. Certainly, we'll see. They know that the Stanley Cup is in the building down there in Sunrise, Florida, and we will have the puck drop tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. So we shall see. Also, one other note: the Bengals and Trey Hendrickson, the All-Pro defensive end, have resumed contract talks. Is anyone surprised by that?
No.
Of course, they were going to resume contract talks. They need
You're
a
not
better
going to not
defense.
sign Trey.
Right. They need a better defense to support their offense. All right, more to do on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday. You can find them online at WeKeepJacksRollin.com. And certainly congrats to them on opening their 6th store in Jacksonville. This one opened today in Mandarin, just off of San Jose Boulevard. It's 1010X on 92.5 FM.
It's not set to the frequency. It's right here. Hello. No. Wrong frequency. What's the frequency, by the way?
1010XL.
Mia here for my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. They're your one-stop shop for plumbing, septic, and air conditioning this summer, all under one roof. Whether it's a leak, a clog, or your system just won't cool, they've got you covered. Don't take my word for it. Check out their 5-star reviews on Google. From the moment you call to the moment the tech solves your issue, you will receive first-class service every step of the way. Give them a ring at 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Duck Rooter, plumbing, septic, and air conditioning. One call does it all.
Hey, it's Carline here. If you're shopping for a new ride, you've got to check out Atlantic Infinity. Not only do you get a luxury vehicle, you also get the Atlantic Infinity Promise Free with every new car. That's almost $2,500 in added value just for buying smarter, and you don't have to sweat it out on the lot. Shop in their indoor climate-controlled showrooms. It's cool, comfortable, hassle-free. They're on Atlantic near St. John's Bluff, or browse anytime at AtlanticInfinity.com.
Hey, Hickett here for my friends at Zero Res. Gang, vacuuming is not sufficient to maintain the cleanliness and lifespan of your carpet, period. Do not, let me repeat, do not leave deep cleaning to yourself, but do it yourself. Dirt attracting carpet soaking machines. No. Call on the cleaning freaks from Zero Res. Big summer savings. 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $129. Take 20% off air duct cleaning as well. Call them, 904-287-5727, and ask for the 1010XL special. Zero Res, call it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Spring has sprung, and so have the bugs. It's Hayes Carline and my friends at Kingfish Pest Control offer an exclusive $99 spring special. That's right, your initial pest control service is just $99. And if you call today, they'll include a free one-time mosquito treatment. Kingfish Pest Control is family-owned, 5-star rated with no binding contracts, and 100% satisfaction guarantee. Call them now to book your service. Only at Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's a Helmets and Heels Big Chief Tire Monday.
Hickett here with my concierge doctor, Richard Townsend. Doc T, how does a concierge direct primary care operate?
We are a membership-based primary care made directly between a patient and physician. We'll have a limited amount of patients that allows us to give unlimited access and personal service to you. This individualized approach has been shown to lower hospitalizations as well as maintain healthier lives. We also give 24/7 access via phone to me outside of our scheduled office hours.
To learn more, go to mypvconcierge.com.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web, precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell, founder of Cordell & Cordell.
Divorce is complicated, especially when your small business or professional practice is involved. At Cordell & Cordell, we understand that these assets raise unique valuation and allocation issues. For 35 years, we've helped doctors, lawyers, and small business owners navigate divorce with confidence. Call us at Cordell & Cordell. Let me tell you, I understand on a personal level, your business is much more than a job. It's your legacy.
Jacksonville, Florida. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois. CordellCordell.com.
She's seen and heard all over 1010XL's video and social channels.
Whether the big cats are at the bank or on the road, I'm there too. Follow my updates all season long, on air and online.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota.
Denny Thompson here. You got to check out Tyson's Showroom Home Theater with surround sound and comfy theater chairs. You can transform your living room into a cinematic experience. I can stay there to watch all my games. It's that comfortable. Call Tyson today and bring the theater experience home. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming, Iowa.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less.
Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Caminero with 2-1. Oh boy, did he get into it? Into left. It is gone. A goner for a 3-run homer, and there's Dad. Juan Caminero cheering on his son, who points right back at him, and the Rays lead 9-0.
I really hope Dan Hicken is listening right now, Taylor Dahl. I refused to text Dan yesterday after the Rays swept the Mets because it was Father's Day.
Yeah.
And you don't do
nice
that to
of you.
somebody. But I did text him this morning and just say, it was a very enjoyable baseball weekend for me. How about for you? The Rays have the MLB best record since May 20th. And obviously the season starts before that.
Yeah.
So you have to count all the
You got to
games.
do it before May.
That's correct. But since May 20th, I think some people would be surprised to know that the Rays do have the best record in all of baseball just in that time frame. And the highlight you just heard, Junior Caminero, and the fact that his dad, Juan, got to be in the audience yesterday up in New York. His dad is a truck driver, so he drives all over the country.
Yeah.
But he got to be there. And I mentioned to you a couple weeks ago that Junior Caminero had been going through a bit of a slump, and he brought in his high school, or not his high school, but his former hitting coach, and brought him in to work on his swing, and has ever since then been on a tear.
Love it.
And it was just so cool, like on Father's Day, to hit that 3-run home run. The Rays were already up 6-0, but still to hit that bomb and then go up to 9-0. And then as soon as they showed his dad is just jumping up and down.
I love
like
those moments.
Yeah, there's nothing cooler to me than something like that and of course immediately as soon as he realized it was out of the park, Junior Caminero, as he rounds third, like points to his dad and stuff. And it's just, I love stuff like that. You couldn't script it any better.
Oh, no.
And it was also nice that, the Mets, one of the best teams in baseball, didn't win a single game in their ballpark against the Rays. And that's the first time that the Mets were swept at home all year long as well.
Yeah. Dan is definitely very not happy about that. He was just talking to me last week. Every morning, Dan and Jeff and I go on our rants about baseball, and he came at my office last week and was literally like, all right, so we have the Rays coming up, and then we have to play the Braves, and then we play the Phillies, and then the Braves again, I think. And so he was like, we've got to, we need to sweep the Rays or at least take 2 of those, and we need to do this because the Braves and da-da-da. And I was like, the Braves are 13 games back, and you're that weird? He's like, yes, I am, because this happens every year to us with the Braves. And and then they get swept. by the Rays. So definitely not a happy Dan over the weekend.
No, but he said it was a good Father's Day, so that's the important part. It was funny. The Mets had Ryan Stanek, who's a former Rays pitcher, in late yesterday, and they pulled him for a position player. Like, I have no idea why they decided to do that, but Stanek was furious watching him in the dugout. It was, it's fun when it's not your team. And then the position player, the crowd, he actually did strike a Rays player out, and so the crowd went crazy.
That's so funny.
When he got the out. But still, to me, certainly the teams that I don't think we expected to be as good as they are right now, a team like the Detroit Tigers and a team like the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, especially the Tigers. I think most people had the Cubs winning the division. I don't think they thought they'd be playing as well as they are. And that's even, honestly, they're in a bad offensive slump right now. They took 3 of 4 against the Pirates, but the Pirates are not good. And granted, their pitching is good. So people have struggled hitting against the Pirates. They just they have pretty good pitching in general, and their bullpen's pretty good. But they didn't score more than 3 runs, and they won 3 of 4. And so you got to win. Those, to me, are the signs of a good team, because you can win the games where you have to pitch and you can only score 2 or 3, and then you can also score 10 and if you need that way. But the Tigers, to me, are a big surprise. I don't know if anybody would have had them at the top of anything in the beginning of the season, and maybe I just didn't. Maybe it's been a while since you've really seen them that good, so you were kind of not expecting that. Because especially, I've mentioned Javi Baez, he was having a bad slump for several years, and then this year he kind of turned it back on. So certain players like that have helped a ton. You always knew he was a really good fielder. He was playing center field this year at one point, because it was just like, okay, well, Javi's kind of done, and then all of a sudden he starts hitting again, and you're like, oh, like this is kind of wild to watch all of this. But
because he played shortstop when he played for the Cubs.
He was always short. He never played. He played outfield a little bit. I think he would play like left field or something like that every now and then, but like barely at all. And then he was starting at center field, and it was very odd. But yeah, so I do think the NL Central in general is a tight race between the Cardinals, Brewers, and Cubs. And the Cardinals dropped to 4th now. The Reds are actually back into 3rd, so it's kind of a tight race at the top in general. But there's a lot of really fun baseball going on right now, and Giants made that trade, and Giants have been playing really well too. So it's going to be, we're about a month away from the All-Star break, and then you'll start seeing all those trades start to happen and the final things, and that's what you kind of see which teams really think they can win it all, and that's the moment you see those.
The Rays have the Orioles and then the Tigers. So I'll be an expert on the Detroit Tigers here shortly. By the way, the AL East stands like this now after the Yankees were swept by the Red Sox over the weekend. So the Yankees are 42-28. The Rays now are 3.5 back and 1 game ahead of the Blue Jays. Before this weekend, the Blue Jays were in 2nd place in the AL East, and the Rays were in 3rd, so they have swapped. But yeah, it's like you said, it's coming up to some of the most fun times in all of baseball. All right, time now for the Terminix Pest of the Day. As always, brought to you by our friends at Terminix. You can find them online at Terminix.com, Terminix. If you have any sort of issues with pests, certainly cockroaches, like I always talk about, any mosquito issues, you can contact Terminix. They will come spray your yard or your business's area, just like they sprayed at our house. Make sure that you don't have any mosquitoes that could lead to heartworm for your pets. So important there, and there's a reason they take care of Everbank Stadium, ViStar Ballpark, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, and a whole lot more of your favorite event venues around town. The pest of the day today, Taylor, Lauren Philpott's husband. Most people probably have no idea who Lauren Philpott is, and there's a reason for that. But recently, you would have noticed her tattoo or seen her tattoo. That is of Jason Kelce not wearing any clothes. So the reason that her husband is the pest is because she lost a bet with him back in the 2022-2023 NFL season. She's a Giants fan. I don't know what the bet was, but her husband made her get a Jason Kelce, who of course played for the Eagles, tattoo of him.
Well, the eagle
nude.
is the private part.
Correct. So I'm assuming he's an Eagles fan and she's a Giants. I know she's a Giants fan. But I'm sorry.
Oh, my
Maybe
gosh.
change the bet to where, but like, why would you even in the first place have this bet that you would agree to? So maybe Lauren, partially the pest of the day too.
Yeah.
Like, don't agree to any bet that's going to result in a tattoo of a player of your rival and also naked on your body. Don't agree to that. But the husband, don't enforce that either.
I saw the picture, obviously. I didn't know the backstory for that.
didn't either,
I truly
until
thought it was
today.
just like some dude who thought it was hilarious and got a Jason Kelce naked tattoo. That was wild. I would want to know what the bet is, because especially if it's something between their two teams, like, you're a Giants fan. Why would you be betting with a Philly fan about anything right now in this time?
I mean, that's her husband.
Yeah, but
why would you do it?
I'm saying. You're a Giants fan. You guys don't win.
Oh,
and
also
Philly
true.
wins. Why would you bet? And I don't know. It might have been something different. It might have been like a Super Bowl bet or something like that. I truly don't know, obviously. So it would be interesting to see what that is. But I did not know that backstory, and I would chicken out 100%.
I will do more research and try and figure out exactly what the bet was. Yeah, and like you mentioned, Shohei Ohtani pitching tonight as the Dodgers take on the Padres. The only problem...
It's at
10:10 p.m. Love 10:10, but 10:10 p.m. for us East Coasters is difficult. The good news is, though, you'll only have to stay awake till probably like 10:30 because he's only going to pitch an inning or two.
Yeah.
So it's
Ease him
exciting.
back into it.
Yeah, I thought he wouldn't return until after the All-Star break. So
yeah,
it's
I thought so
exciting
too.
to see him.
Yeah, I mean,
on
it's
the mound.
been almost 2 years since he's pitched. So they're definitely going to have to ease him back in. But it's still, I tweeted today and I was like, there's going to be 1 million people watching that even at 10:10 because it's number one, Shohei Ohtani is like a global, like everybody globally loves Shohei and loves watching him, but it's also the Dodgers, so the Dodgers get viewers anyway, and then now it's his first time pitching in almost 2 years and a little earlier than a lot of people expected, and it's against the Padres, who are also a really good baseball team right now, so I do think that there is going to be a lot of people watching that game, especially at least for the period of time that Shohei's out there.
Yeah, at least those first 30 minutes or so. All right, one segment to go on the other side. We'll remind you who our Jaguars players stock up, stock down are. Also, I have some College World Series news for you. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday, and just a reminder, the 6th location open today in Mandarin, and the Frangie Show will be there Friday, June 27th from 4 until 6, and they will be raffling off 4 sets of tires. That's right. Big Chief Tire will be raffling off 4 sets of tires on June 27th. They'll also have some hamburgers and hot dogs. So mark your calendars for that day. It's 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Catch the draft and accelerate to the checkered flag.
Who's going to win at Pocono?
This Sunday at Pocono Raceway, powered by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234 and 1010XL.
PRP treatment is kind of the thing these days, and in many cases, it eliminates the need for surgery. This is Sheridan Tootin, and my experience with PRP from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has been nothing short of great. I'm really feeling much better now. Ask your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist doctor about PRP treatment.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hey, Jacksonville, Taylor Dahl here of Helmets and Heels. Are you looking for an easy way to feed your friends and family this summer? Let your local Chick-fil-A restaurant cater your next gathering. Choose from a variety of trays, including Chick-fil-A nugget trays, mac and cheese, and, of course, our gallons of Chick-fil-A tea and lemonade, perfect for a get-together of any size. Place an order through the Chick-fil-A app, online, or by calling ahead and pick it up at your local Chick-fil-A restaurant, or you can get it delivered directly to your door. Enjoy more of the summer season with your loved ones when you take cooking off your plate with Chick-fil-A. See restaurant for details.
Guys, your lawn's the home field. Now you can champion your St. Augustine grass. TopDressing.com just hit Jacksonville with a game-changing patented process. Aerate and transform your turf into a fairway-worthy masterpiece. Less water, shorter cuts, and the envy of every neighbor. No one else delivers a perfect 10 lawn like this. Visit TopDressing.com and dominate your block with the same process that golf courses use. Top dress your lawn like the pros with TopDressing.com.
If you're 35 to 75, you could get life insurance today. No medical exam needed. I'm Cody with Harborstone Financial. One call could protect your family for life. Call me today, 904-885-9566.
Helmets and Heels. It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Is your roof ready for hurricane season? When storms hit, you need more than just a roof. You need trust. Valor Roofing Company is veteran-owned and operated, serving all of Florida with integrity and quality craftsmanship. From minor repairs to full replacements, they'll treat your home like it's their own. Estimates are always free, and veterans receive a special discount on all roofing services. Visit ValorRoofingCo.com and protect your home with people who care. GAF certified license CCC 1334864.
As a contractor, finding reliable subcontractors is key to project success. Prosser here. Guys, that's where Lloyd's Heating and Air shines. Not just your mechanical HVAC experts, but your partner, understanding every facet of construction to keep your project on track. Lloyd's will spot issues early before they cause delays. If you're a contractor with a need for reliability, visit LloydsHeatingandAir.com. Lloyd's Heating and Air. keeping you comfortable in every season.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's the Mangler.
Get the best soccer talk on the First Coast on the Coaches Show, presented by Sporting Jacks. Cole Pepper, Sporting Jacks head of soccer Mark Warburton, and Sporting Jacks women's coach Stacey Bailey discuss the beautiful game Tuesday evenings at 6 on 1010 a.m.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. Let's start with some cold, hard truth. Here's why Awaken 180 weight loss is your road to freedom. It's fast, it's easy, it's safe. You're not shooting chemicals into your body every week. You're eating real food every single day. You're not listening to an overpriced celebrity tell you about magical new food or asking you to count points or calories. You're just eating food and losing weight. It's that simple with Awaken 180 weight loss. You know what else you're doing while losing weight with Awaken 180? Eliminating pain, fitting into clothes you haven't worn in years, sleeping through the night and waking up refreshed and energized and happy. I lost 40 pounds in 9 weeks on Awaken 180, and Hacker lost more than 110 over the course of a year. It's a life-changing road to freedom. Doesn't matter what your goal weight is, Awaken 180 weight loss will get you there quickly and safely, a clear path to success without disappointment. Awaken 180. Give them a call, 844-346-1800, or go online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Mike Dempsey, and now's the time to get your roof hurricane ready with Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacks Beach. Look, our rainy season is no joke, and if your roof's got damage, leaks, or it's just plain worn out, don't wait. Apex is local, dependable, and will show up on time using only premium materials with ironclad warranties. No shortcuts, no stress, just quality work you can trust. Skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak with Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacks Beach, or visit apexroofingfl.com.
I'm Brendan with Checkmate Coatings. Pool decks, driveways, garages, patios, we coat them all to make your neighbors jealous.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
All right, we're going to cool down with wrapping up some of our stock ups and stock downs that we were going through earlier. I only listed one separately because most of the ones that you said I did agree on. A couple of them that I went back and forth that, that I kind of said, I don't know about that one. We'll see. But I think for the most part, it feels obvious at this point in time, and obviously this is on paper when we're saying this right now, of who we are expecting to have this impact maybe grow, who the ones that maybe have jobs to be concerned about. And so once camp comes, even more. But I think that as we go through this, a lot of the stock ups feel like guys that this regime has brought in themselves, and it makes sense because we saw them part ways with a large chunk of this roster. And I think I saw someone tallying it. It's like 40, a lot of new players. It was like 40-something new players that are on the roster right now. Not everybody's going to make the team, obviously, but that's a high number of turnover. And I think that we've talked about it a lot of they saw this roster and it just wasn't good enough, especially when it came to the depth pieces. And so right now, anybody that's been here probably feels like they have a little bit extra to prove because they just saw them part ways with Christian Kirk and an Evan Ingram and some of these guys, a Cisco even, who has been a part of this team for a few years. And when it was successful and had that run in 2022, they all were guys making plays during that period of time. So I do think it's interesting that most of the guys we listed are guys that this regime has brought in.
Yeah, I think there's a reason for that. And obviously the superstars like Brian Thomas Jr., Trayvon Walker, Josh Hines-Allen, we didn't put them because Foye Oluokun. A lot is expected of them. They're going to be starters.
Yeah.
But more the stock up for me, certainly wide receiver De'Ami Brown has flashed at virtually every practice that I've been able to attend. I have noticed number 5, other than literally the one you went to, Taylor. But outside of that one last week, literally every time I'm out there, I'm so impressed by his speed. And then for me, running back Travis Etienne, because Liam Coen basically told all of us he's not going anywhere, despite maybe what some of those crazy rumors were saying. Safety Andrew Wingard, I think he's battling for a starting position on this team. I would not have said that when the season ended, that Dewey would be more than special teams and a role player as far as safety goes for this defense. But I've been impressed. He's always had a great work ethic. I just never thought he was maybe quite fast enough to be a really good safety in the NFL. But I think he's proven his worth to this regime. And like I said, I think he's battling for a starting safety spot. The corners to me, Jordan Lewis, Buster Brown, Tyson Campbell I put in there, but I guess I should really put him outside of that because he is a superstar on this team. But yeah, I have seen Jordan Lewis. I understand why they signed him away from the Cowboys and made him the highest paid nickel corner in the NFL. And Buster Brown has made a play every single time I've been out there as far as pass breakups are concerned. So I've been impressed with those corners. Linebacker Devin Lloyd certainly has shed a lot of weight from last year, and I think he'll be put in a role where he's going to succeed, and that hasn't always been the case around here with some of the defensive coaches. And then finally, 2 other defensive players in defensive tackle Mason Smith. I think year 2 is going to be a big year for him. I liked when they drafted him last year, and we knew that he was going to come along a little slowly because of the injuries in college, and it did take him a little while, but once he got going, we saw him get 3 sacks late in the year. And then edge Emmanuel Agba, like you said, a guy that they specifically brought in to add edge depth. I think Agba is going to be a factor on this defense when it comes to the pass rush. And then, so I have 9 guys for stock up. I probably could have done even more because I'm that type of optimistic person. And then I have 3 guys for stock down, 2 offensive linemen, and Anton Harrison and John Foster. Anton Harrison will be on this roster, I believe, but I think he's battling for a starting spot at that right tackle position. John Foster, I don't know if he makes the team. And then linebacker Yasir Abdullah, kind of a hybrid guy when they drafted him to begin with. And I'm not sure that he is going to make the 53 either, because like we talked about some of the additions of linebacker as far as they drafted Jack Kaiser, they drafted Jalen McLeod. And I don't know exactly where Yasir would fit in this defensive scheme.
Yeah, the Mason Smith one I'm excited for. I did not like the draft pick. I think it was too high. I still think it was too high. I think there was way too many, especially corners, that you could have gotten somebody that was one of the corners that looked really good last year. There was like 5 or 6 still on the board at that pick, and I think it was someone that would have made an impact immediately on the secondary last year. But we're talking about now, and I do think that you started seeing flashes of Mason Smith late in last year, and so I am excited to see how that continues to develop and some of the things that they can do, especially alongside an Eric Armstead. And I said a second ago, my stock up outside of some of the ones you listed, because some of those I definitely agree with, an Etienne for sure, a Devin Lloyd for sure. Mine was Caleb Bransaw, and I think that Caleb Bransaw, I've been very critical of the secondary in general, but the safeties especially. I just thought the safety play was so bad last year, and I personally wasn't the biggest fan of the signing of Eric Murray, and so and Darnell Savage. I think he's okay, like he's good. He's been all right throughout his career in the NFL, but I don't think it's anything to write home about. And so what I saw from camp and what I've heard around when I'm talking to Coach Campo and guys like that, they love Caleb Bransaw, and they think that he'll almost immediately be able to make an impact. And so I do think that in benefit for him, he's battling guys that I think are all right. And so I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the year we're seeing Caleb Bransaw as a starter, or at least a large chunk of what we're seeing in that safety room. So that was one. One I didn't mention earlier is Eric Armstead. And I think that it's hard to put him in that just because in previous years to last year, he was always one of the best interior defensive linemen. But we just didn't see it last year, and we know why. We know the reason for that. But I'm expecting that stock to be back up now then, because I do think that, I don't know exactly if we're getting that prime Eric Armstead from 4 or 5 years ago, but I still think he's one of those guys that have been time after time able to prove that if you put him on the inside, he's going to create pressure. And I think that is going to be huge for Mason Smith, being able to be beside an Eric Armstead. And we'll see how that rotation looks like with Devon too. But being able to be with a veteran like that, I think will up Mason Smith's game even more, which is what you want when you have these guys. When you're bringing in a guy who's been in the league for a little while on a successful team, successful defenses, that helps so much for the guys that they're surrounding and they're standing next to, like a Mason Smith, who you want to continue to see develop. So I didn't say his name earlier, but he is somebody that I do feel like we're going to see him back in the positive side of what you're talking about rather than the negative side. My negatives were Jordan Jefferson, and for reasons that you said a little bit ago, or the reasons when we're talking about what I just said when it comes to that interior, I just don't know how much of a place there is for him. And it was already a season last year where you didn't see a ton out of him anyways. It was only 8 games. The games he was in, I don't know how much you were actually seeing Jordan Jefferson. Maybe a year or two changes things, but to me, just with what that room looks like, it's hard for me to see a whole lot of playing time for him. And then similar to the linebacker room, Chad Muma for me. I've never really been the biggest Chad Muma fan. And then now I think there's so much competition level there. And when you talk about a Jack Kaiser, that's a name that a lot of people are like, what does that mean for Chad early on? And so we will see how all that shakes out and what the depth chart looks like once they finalize it week 1. But that's somebody who I do think that has some stuff to prove during camp to these coaches, especially when we just talked about how much they brought in guys for a reason. And they were very specific and strategic of the guys that they brought in free agency and obviously the draft also. And they had their list of guys and their different categories of how they broke everything down. So it was something that I think that if they brought somebody in here, it was for a reason, not just to fill gaps. Is what at least it feels like every move they've made has been very intentional. And then my other one I had on here, which I feel like this isn't really a surprise, but it's just like Luke Fortner, I'm sorry. I just don't know.
I think he's the backup center right now.
I know,
so I
but
think he makes the team, which I didn't know that I would have thought that a few months ago either.
But I think though, because, and yeah, backup wise, I think so too. But I just think they brought a center here for a reason, and it's somebody when we're talking about the center position, it's going to be something that is going to be one of the focal points. But I just think that Luke Fortner he's given kind of chance after chance after chance, and you just really haven't seen anything. And I do think that connection and the relationship that he has with Liam Coen previously may be why we're still seeing that backup center position and why they didn't bring somebody else to kind of battle for that. But I don't know if that's going to be, I don't know if by the end of the year we're talking about Luke Fortner on the Jags.
Jonah Monheim is the guy they drafted who certainly played center in college. So certainly there is a battle between, I'm sure, Luke Fortner and Jonah Monheim to make the 53. We'll see about that. But for the here and now, I honestly would have thought that Luke Fortner would be off the team. And right now, I think he's the backup center. I think he makes the team. And I don't know about Jonah Monheim as to whether he makes the team, but he was drafted in the 7th round. And again, he goes in that category of a guy that they brought in.
Yeah.
So certainly they like him more than probably some of the guys here previously. All right. So Travis Hunter also, we didn't put him on stock up or stock down. Obviously not stock down. He would be in stock up for sure, but so much is expected of the number 2 overall pick. So I didn't put him in that category. For the College World Series, one team was already knocked out of the 8 that are in Omaha. That was Arizona, because Louisville defeated Arizona 8-3 yesterday. And then last night, Coastal Carolina beat Oregon State 6-2. That was not an elimination game, but Coastal Carolina wins again. Remember this name when it comes to pitching, Jacob Morrison. He pitched 7.2 innings. He allowed 1 run. It was a home run, but just 1 run. He leads the nation with 10 starts of 6 or more innings and 1 or fewer runs allowed.
Wow.
So watch out for him. Again, Coastal Carolina is a great story. We have Arkansas going up against Murray State at 2 p.m. That is an elimination game, so be watching that. And then tonight we have UCLA versus LSU. And then I wanted to mention Taylor Dahl, since we're talking about baseball. Poor JU.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Sophomore Jaden Bastian. Tell me if these numbers are good. He hit .302 as a sophomore last year with 11 home runs, 10 doubles, 5 triples, 33 ribbies, and 36 stolen bases.
Oh my goodness.
Off to Gainesville in Florida.
Oh, no.
Look, I love my Gators, but I hate when teams like JU and UNF get pilfered by Florida, the likes of Florida and Florida State. Certainly Florida State did it with Alex Lodies from UNF prior to that. And again, that's a different situation because Coach Parrington passed away and then Lodies decided to leave UNF. But Florida now has taken Justin Nadeau, the center fielder, away from JU. Now Jaden Bastian. And look, I'll be excited when baseball season starts in February of next year that he's on Florida's team. But it just is such a gut punch for Coach Hayes. Yeah. And these guys, they are able to, whether it's Joe Mercadante or Chris Hayes, they identify the talent, they develop the talent. Yeah. And then, like we talk about with basketball too, it gets kind of stolen away from them and they go off to bigger schools. And I'm sure NIL dollars are part of it and the likes of that. And one final note, I was not awake Saturday night at 10:15 or 10:30 whenever the race happened, but I did see when I woke up the next day that Smilla Colby finished 6th in the 800 meters, and so that allowed her to be an All-American and first-team All-American. So
Congrats.
shout out to
Yeah.
her. Yeah, absolutely. In the NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championship there in Eugene, Oregon. We've had her on the show, like I said last week, and I've always been rooting for her. Want to see, all of our local athletes do great things at the next level, and just really proud of all the work that she put in.
Yeah, I feel like that is one of those sports. I don't know if I've ever sat down and watched like a full
Track and field?
Yeah, I don't think I ever have. But
you don't want to watch the whole thing because it's like a
Forever
12,
long.
14-hour long day.
Yeah.
But parts of it are so exciting.
Yeah, which ones would you say? Like what?
Like the hurdles.
Okay, yeah.
Those are fun. And then obviously like the relays, the 4x400 and things like that. Steeplechase is including the hurdles. And I'm not necessarily the biggest, like the field. I like more of the track than the field. I can't tell you much about like shot put and discus and things like that. But I love watching fast people just run as fast as possible. And the hurdles too, because I could never do that.
Oh, no way. And that's why I've seen it. Obviously clips, and like if I see a clip on Twitter, I'll watch it, or X, whatever, and I don't know how sometimes they do it. Like you're already running as fast as you can and having to hurdle over things. It's I'm like, I can't even do the fast part first.
I can't do the fast part either. But yeah, and then one other football note, Billy Napier and the Florida Gators have landed 4 top 200 recruits in the past 12 days and 7 this month, including 4-star wide receiver Marquez Daniel, defensive lineman Jay Raylan McCoy, and running back Carson Baker. So now Florida has jumped up over 40 spots in the recruiting rankings.
Wow.
So Billy Napier likes to kind of play it slow for a little while, but then when he wants to heat things up, he certainly does. And look, I get this question. You get asked all the time about Trevor Lawrence and the Jags as far as would they, the current regime, extend him. The question I always get about Florida, like, so are they going to be good this year? And it's like, well, let me break it down for you. The schedule
Also,
is
what do you think is
ridiculously
good?
hard. Sure, yeah. What is good?
Like, what is your record of good?
Yeah, is Billy Napier back on the hot seat? I don't think so. They have really good offensive line, really good defensive line. I love the playmakers as far as the wide receivers, the running backs. DJ Lagway, if he stays healthy, could be a Heisman Trophy contender. But you do still have Billy Napier there on the sidelines, and sometimes that doesn't always go according to plans, whether it's play calling or the special teams and all that stuff. But let's get Josie's thoughts.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Joe, how was Father's Day, and how's Florida going to be this year in football?
Oh, one good
Loaded question.
One that's right now unanswerable. I'll leave Billy to the side right now, but we had a great Father's Day.
Good.
It was chili dogs and cheeseburgers.
Oh, that sounds like delicious.
Right up Taylor's alley.
Yeah, perfect. TLD killed the chili sauce, and then I grilled, had a great time. But the best thing was at the end, they gave me, and I'll show both of y'all real quick. They gave me from the Christmas Story the
lamp?
Daisy,
No, not the lamp.
the Daisy Red Rider. I've already got the lamp.
Yeah.
Oh, you have the lamp.
I've already got
Nice.
the leg lamp, and so now I got the
That's
Daisy
amazing.
Red Rider BB gun. It was awesome. It was
Did
a
you
big
use
surprise. Yeah. Hmm?
Can you use it?
Oh yeah, because the story's been told on XL Primetime that a little rodent popped up in my grill.
Oh,
that's right. Okay,
Yeah.
So that's what the BB gun is intended
you better
for.
believe it. So it was great.
How'd you like the golf?
It was awesome. Look, it's kind of like what we say about OKC and Indiana. It's not exactly what we wanted to see in terms of big names in the NBA Finals, but those are the 2 best teams. That's just the way it worked out. JJ Spaun was the best player, and it's incredible to think what he went through in the beginning of this tournament and then was able to nail that putt. And he still obviously could have tapped in and won, but talk about great theater. On Father's Day with his 2 daughters, I love one of the hosts from, I can't remember which one of the golf guys it was, Kyle Porter, I think. Anyway, his day started 2:45 in the morning by going to CVS.
The daughter was
'cause
throwing.
His daughter was throwing up. So that's just
That's the most dad day.
Yeah,
Start
yeah.
with a sick kid, finish with a.
I'd be like, honey, you got
major.
this. I'm trying to win $4 million.
Oh my gosh. And so think of what could have happened. Rory wins the Players and wins a major. If JJ Spawn's putt at 18 at the stadium course had gone in,
that one
went in yesterday, he could be a Players and a and a major champion. He had a great week.
Yeah, you know that the broadcast wanted Scotty Scheffler to get in the mix. Couldn't. And then at one point, you thought it might be Sam Burns.
Yeah.
You thought it might be Adam Scott.
Yeah.
Robert McIntyre. I thought it was a great tournament.
It really was. I picked Adam Scott in our little deal.
Yes, you did.
And
I heard
was
that.
just rooting like a son of a gun for the old Aussie. And he cost himself down the stretch. It's just such a tough golf course. But anyway, great for JJ's.
Did that driver issue a month or so ago, whenever it was, ruin Rory?
And he's still, he dodged that question for a long time. Then he finally answered. And then everyone says that's not good enough and so on and so forth. He did kind of straighten out his driver a little bit for a little while this past week, but he's still, there's something in his head.
Yeah.
You know how quickly it can happen. You go from, I told y'all after the Masters, he could run the table.
Not so fast, my friends.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, what's coming up?
We're going to get into, obviously, looking back at that. But then also, last year, there were 4 college football teams that had 0 odds to make the college football playoff. 0. And so we're going to name our 4. We'll have a little fun with that because SMU and Boise State and Arizona, no one was thinking about them, yet they were able to make it in. So we'll have a little fun with that today.
All right, sounds good. We'll be listening.
All right, thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Joe. That's going to do it for us. Mia O'Brien will be back tomorrow for Taylor Dahl. For RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow, but don't